Right now, as you sit watching this video, blood is traveling through nearly 60,000 miles of vessels inside your body. Every second, your heart pushes oxygen-rich blood down toward your legs, and your veins work just as hard to return it back upward against gravity. But after the age of 60, something begins to change. The vessels become less flexible. The pumping force becomes slightly weaker. The valves inside your veins may not close as tightly as they once did. And slowly, quietly, circulation can begin to decline. Most seniors don't notice it at first. They assume cold feet are normal. They think leg cramps are part of aging. They blame heaviness on just getting older. But what if your legs are not just aging? What if they are warning you? Poor circulation rarely begins with dramatic chest pain or sudden collapse. Instead, it begins with whispers. Cold toes that don't warm up. A strange tingling sensation at night. Legs that feel unusually tired after short walks. And one of the most overlooked warning signs often appears while lying down when many people least expect circulation to be a problem. Today, we are going to carefully walk through 12 early signs of poor circulation in your legs after 60. These are not myths. They are patterns observed in medical practice and vascular health research. If you notice more than one of these signs, it does not mean panic, but it does mean attention. Let's first understand why your legs are often the first place circulation problems appear. Medical framing. 133. Circulation is the system that keeps you alive. Arteries carry oxygen-rich blood from your heart to your body. Veins return oxygen-poor blood back to the heart. When circulation is strong, tissues receive steady oxygen and nutrients. When circulation weakens, delivery becomes inconsistent. Now here's something important. Your legs are the farthest points from your heart. Blood must travel downward through arteries and then return upward through veins against gravity. This return journey relies on healthy vessel walls, strong heart pumping, functional vein valves, muscle contractions during walking. After 60, arteries may stiffen, plaque may narrow passageways, vein valves may weaken. Even subtle narrowing can reduce oxygen delivery to muscles, skin, and nerves in your lower legs. Because of gravity, your legs are often the first area where reduced circulation becomes noticeable. That is why many early signs of poor blood flow show up there first. Now let's examine each warning sign carefully. Symptom 1. Persistently cold feet that don't warm up. 500+ words. Let's begin with something many people laugh about. Cold feet. You may be sitting comfortably in a warm room. Your hands feel normal. Your face feels warm, but your feet feel noticeably colder. At first, this seems harmless. You put on socks. You rub them together. You assume it's tile flooring or thin skin. And sometimes, that explanation is completely reasonable. But when your feet remain cold even in warm environments, even under blankets, it may be a sign that arterial blood flow to your lower extremities is reduced. To understand this, imagine your arteries like flexible garden hoses. When they are wide and healthy, blood flows easily. When they stiffen or narrow, flow becomes restricted. After 60, arteries naturally lose elasticity. In some individuals, plaque buildup further narrows the pathway. This condition is often called peripheral artery disease, but early circulation decline can happen even before full disease develops. When arterial flow decreases, less warm oxygen-rich blood reaches your toes, and temperature regulation in your feet begins to change. Here is something subtle but important. Normal cold feet warm up when you walk. Movement stimulates circulation. Muscle contractions push blood through vessels more effectively. But if poor circulation is present, walking may not fully restore warmth. The cold sensation lingers. Another sign to watch for is color contrast. If your feet appear paler than usual, or slightly bluish compared to your hands, this may reflect slower oxygen delivery. Why is this symptom ignored? Because it is not dramatic. There is no sharp pain, no emergency, just cold toes. But persistent cold feet can indicate that oxygen delivery to the smallest blood vessels is compromised. Over time, reduced circulation does more than change temperature. It can slow wound healing, increase infection risk, cause nerve sensitivity changes. Many seniors assume this is just poor circulation, without understanding what that truly means. But poor circulation is not a harmless label. It is a sign that blood flow is not meeting tissue demand. If cold feet are accompanied by numbness, tingling, leg fatigue, or cramping while walking, the pattern becomes more meaningful. Your body regulates temperature through blood flow. If blood flow weakens, warmth declines. And when warmth declines persistently, it may be one of the earliest signals that your vascular system needs attention. Again, this does not mean immediate danger, but it does mean awareness, because your legs often whisper long before serious circulation problems develop. And cold feet that refuse to warm up may be one of those whispers. Symptom 2. Numbness or tingling in your feet and lower legs. 500+ words. Now let's talk about a sensation that many people have experienced at some point in their lives. Your foot feels like it has fallen asleep. There is tingling, a prickling sensation, maybe even a light buzzing feeling beneath the skin. Normally, this happens when you sit in one position too long and compress a nerve. Once you shift your weight, sensation quickly returns. But what if that tingling begins happening more frequently? What if it appears even when you are not sitting awkwardly? What if it lingers longer than it used to? After the age of 60, persistent numbness or tingling in the feet can sometimes signal reduced circulation. Here is why. Your nerves depend heavily on oxygen-rich blood. Every nerve cell requires a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients to transmit signals properly. When blood flow becomes restricted, even slightly nerve function can begin to change. Instead of sending clean, smooth signals to the brain, nerves may misfire. This misfiring produces unusual sensations: tingling, pins and needles, mild burning, or partial numbness. When circulation weakens in the small arteries that supply your lower legs and feet, nerve endings are often among the first structures affected. And because your feet are the farthest points from your heart, they are particularly vulnerable to even subtle reductions in blood flow. Now, it is important to clarify something. Numbness in the feet is often associated with diabetes. And yes, diabetes is a common cause of nerve damage. But reduced circulation alone, even without diabetes, can create similar sensations. When arteries narrow or stiffen, oxygen delivery becomes inconsistent. During rest, you may feel mild tingling. During walking, you may feel temporary numbness. At night, when circulation patterns shift due to changes in body position, symptoms may become more noticeable. Another factor to consider is tissue pressure. If fluid retention is also present, even mild swelling, that extra pressure can compress tiny nerve fibers in your feet. This combination of reduced oxygen supply and mild compression amplifies unusual sensations. Many people ignore these early signs because they are subtle. The tingling may come and go. It may not interfere with walking, at least in the beginning. You may simply shake your foot and move on. But over time, persistent circulation problems can cause these sensations to become more frequent. Some individuals describe it as walking on cotton. Others say their feet feel slightly disconnected from the ground. That subtle loss of sensation can affect balance, and balance affects safety. Reduced feeling in the feet increases the risk of falls, especially in older adults. Another warning pattern to watch for is progression. If numbness gradually spreads from the toes upward toward the ankle, this may reflect worsening blood flow. Again, this does not automatically mean severe disease, but it does indicate that oxygen delivery to peripheral nerves may not be optimal. Your nerves are like electrical wiring. They require consistent power, and blood is their power supply. When that supply weakens, signals become distorted. What begins as mild tingling can become chronic numbness if circulation continues to decline. If this symptom appears alongside cold feet, leg fatigue, pale skin, or cramping while walking, the pattern becomes more significant. Because poor circulation rarely produces just one isolated sign. It produces clusters. And numbness or tingling in your feet may be one of the early clues that your vascular system is under quiet strain. The earlier these changes are recognized, the more options you have to protect circulation and preserve mobility. Your feet are not just distant extremities. They are early messengers. And when sensation begins to change, it may be time to listen carefully. Symptom 3. Leg cramps or pain while walking. intermittent claudication 500 plus words. Now let's focus on something that directly affects your ability to move. You begin walking maybe through a grocery store, to the mailbox, or around your neighborhood. At first, everything feels normal, but after a short distance, your calves begin to ache. It may feel like tightness, or a deep cramping sensation. Sometimes it feels like muscle fatigue that appears far too quickly. You stop walking. Within a few minutes, the discomfort fades. You begin walking again, and the pain returns. This pattern has a name in vascular medicine. It is called intermittent claudication, and it is one of the most classic early signs of reduced arterial circulation in the legs. To understand why this happens, think about what occurs inside your muscles when you walk. Your leg muscles demand more oxygen during activity. To meet that demand, your heart increases blood flow through the arteries. In healthy circulation, arteries widen slightly to allow more oxygen-rich blood to reach the muscles. But when arteries have narrowed due to age-related stiffening or plaque buildup, they cannot deliver enough oxygen during activity. At rest, the limited blood flow may be just enough. But during movement, demand increases, and supply cannot keep up. This creates a temporary oxygen shortage in the muscle tissue. When muscles do not receive adequate oxygen, they produce energy inefficiently. Metabolic waste products accumulate, and that buildup triggers the cramping or aching sensation. The important detail here is predictability. Circulation-related leg pain typically appears at a consistent walking distance. For example, you may notice pain after walking 2 blocks, or after climbing 1 flight of stairs, or after 5 minutes on flat ground. And once you stop, relief usually comes within a few minutes. That relief is a key clue. Muscle strain or joint pain does not always disappear so quickly with rest, but circulation-related pain follows this specific pattern. Activity pain, rest relief. Activity, again, pain returns. Many people dismiss this symptom. They blame aging. They assume their muscles are simply weak. They think they need better shoes. And while footwear and conditioning do matter, predictable cramping with walking is not something to ignore. Over time, if circulation continues to decline, the walking distance that triggers pain may shorten. You may begin avoiding longer walks. You may choose elevators instead of stairs. You may unknowingly reduce activity to prevent discomfort. And here is where it becomes concerning. Reduced movement leads to weaker muscles. Weaker muscles reduce the natural pumping action that helps push blood back toward the heart. This creates a cycle. Less circulation, more discomfort, less activity, further circulation decline. In more advanced cases, pain may begin appearing even at rest, especially when lying flat at night. But early on, intermittent claudication is usually activity-dependent. It is the body's way of saying, I cannot deliver enough oxygen under stress. Your legs are large muscle groups. They require strong arterial supply. When arteries narrow, your legs often reveal the problem before other areas of the body do. Again, this does not mean immediate crisis. But consistent cramping during walking is not simply a nuisance. It is a measurable signal that oxygen delivery is limited. And oxygen delivery is the foundation of mobility. Mobility is the foundation of independence. If you find yourself walking shorter distances than you used to, not because you want to, but because discomfort forces you to stop, your circulation may be quietly changing. Your legs are not just tired. They may be oxygen deprived. And that is a message worth listening to early. Symptom 4. Shiny, tight, or stretched skin on the lower legs, 500 plus words. Now let's move to something you can actually see. Take a moment and look at the skin on your lower legs and ankles. Does it look slightly tighter than it used to? A little sheenier? Almost as if it has been gently stretched from the inside? Healthy skin has texture. It has small natural lines, soft variation in tone, a slightly matte appearance. But when circulation begins to decline, especially venous circulation, the skin can start to change. And these changes often appear gradually. To understand why this happens, we need to talk about pressure. Your veins are responsible for carrying blood back to the heart. Inside those veins are tiny one-way valves that prevent blood from flowing backward. When circulation is strong, Blood moves upward efficiently against gravity. But after 60, vein valves can weaken. When they weaken, blood may begin to pool in the lower legs. This pooling increases pressure inside the veins. And when venous pressure rises, fluid begins to leak out of the blood vessels into surrounding tissue. At first, this fluid buildup may be subtle, but even mild, chronic fluid retention stretches the skin outward. Imagine slowly inflating a balloon. As pressure increases underneath, the surface becomes smoother and shinier. The same thing can happen to the skin on your lower legs. You may notice a glossy appearance, skin that looks thinner, a feeling of tightness when you bend your ankle, slight difficulty pinching the skin. Over time, this persistent pressure can also change the color of the skin. You may see areas that appear slightly darker, reddish, or even brownish in tone. This happens because prolonged venous pressure can cause tiny blood components to leak into the surrounding tissue. The discoloration is not simply cosmetic. It reflects long-term stress on the small vessels beneath the skin. Many people dismiss shiny or tight skin as dryness. They apply lotion. They assume it is seasonal. They blame aging. But dryness and circulation-related skin tension feel different. Dry skin flakes. Circulation-related tight skin feels firm and stretched. Another important detail is fragility. Skin that is under constant pressure becomes thinner and more delicate. Minor bumps may bruise more easily. Small cuts may take longer to heal. If you press gently on the area and notice that an indentation remains briefly, this may indicate fluid retention beneath the surface. This is especially important if tight, shiny skin appears alongside. Mild swelling, leg heaviness, varicose veins, numbness or tingling. Poor circulation does not always begin with pain. Sometimes it begins with appearance changes. Your skin is not just a protective layer. It reflects the condition of the blood vessels underneath. When circulation is balanced, tissues remain nourished and stable. When circulation becomes sluggish, pressure builds, and pressure eventually becomes visible. The lower legs are particularly vulnerable because gravity continuously pulls blood downward. If venous return is not strong enough to push it back upward efficiently, the legs become the holding area. This is why many early vascular changes show up there first. Shiny, tight, stretched skin may seem minor. It may not hurt, but it can be an early visual clue that blood flow dynamics are changing. And recognizing those changes early gives you the opportunity to support circulation before more serious complications develop. Because again, your body often whispers before it shouts. And sometimes the whisper appears in the mirror. Symptom 5. Slow healing cuts or sores on your legs and feet, 500+ words. Now let's talk about something that may seem small, almost insignificant at first. A minor cut on your ankle, a scrape on your shin, a small blister from a shoe that rubbed the wrong way. Under normal circumstances, your body begins repairing damaged skin immediately. Blood rushes to the area. Oxygen and nutrients arrive. White blood cells fight bacteria. New tissue begins forming. Within days, healing is visible. But when circulation is reduced, this natural repair process slows down. And sometimes, it slows down significantly. If you notice that even minor cuts or sores on your lower legs and feet take weeks to heal or seem to reopen repeatedly, it may be a sign that blood flow to that area is not strong enough. Here's why circulation matters so much in healing. Every step of wound repair depends on oxygen. Oxygen fuels the cells that rebuild tissue. It supports immune defenses. It helps generate collagen, the structural protein that closes wounds. When arterial blood flow is reduced, oxygen delivery becomes inconsistent. The cells responsible for healing cannot work efficiently. As a result, wounds linger. They may appear dry but not closing, slightly red around the edges, slow to scab, reopening after mild friction. Even more concerning, poor circulation can reduce the body's ability to fight infection. Without strong blood flow, immune cells cannot reach the wound effectively. That increases the risk that a small cut becomes a larger issue. Now consider something else. If venous circulation is also weak, meaning blood is not returning upward, efficiently fluid may accumulate in the lower legs. This swelling stretches the skin and reduces its strength. Stretched skin tears more easily. And when it tears, healing becomes even more difficult because the surrounding tissue is already under pressure. Many seniors dismiss slow healing. They assume, it's just my age. Skin gets thinner over time. It will close eventually. And while aging does slow healing somewhat, persistent delays are not something to ignore. Healthy circulation supports efficient repair at any age. When circulation weakens, the lower legs and feet are often the first areas affected. Another subtle warning sign is recurring sores in the same location. This may indicate that the tissue there is not receiving enough consistent nourishment. Over time, chronically reduced circulation can even lead to skin breakdown without obvious injury. In more advanced cases, ulcers may form especially near the ankles. But early on, the sign is often simply this: healing takes longer than it used to. A cut that once healed in a week now takes 3. A scrape that should fade quickly lingers. And here is something important. The feet are already far from the heart. They rely heavily on strong arterial supply and efficient venous return. Any decline in vascular efficiency affects them disproportionately. That is why doctors often examine the feet when evaluating circulation. Your skin is a visible indicator of internal blood flow. If wounds heal slowly, it may not just be about skin. It may be about oxygen delivery. And oxygen delivery is the foundation of tissue survival. Again, this does not mean panic, but it does mean awareness, because slow healing is not simply an inconvenience. It can be an early signal that your vascular system is under strain, and catching circulation problems early can prevent minor wounds from becoming major complications. Your legs and feet are not just carrying you forward. They are quietly revealing how well blood is flowing beneath the surface. And when healing slows, it may be time to listen carefully. Symptom 6. Pale, bluish, or discolored skin on your feet and lower legs. 500+ words. Now let's focus on something subtle, but visually important. Take a close look at your feet and lower legs. Do they ever appear lighter than usual? Slightly pale compared to the rest of your skin? Or perhaps faintly bluish when sitting for long periods? Maybe you've noticed your toes look a bit purplish in cooler rooms. Or your feet seem darker when you stand up after resting. These changes in skin color may reflect something deeper than simple temperature shifts. Healthy circulation gives your skin its natural tone. Oxygen-rich blood carries a bright red color beneath the surface of your skin, creating a healthy pink or warm appearance. When circulation slows or becomes restricted, oxygen delivery decreases. And when oxygen levels drop in the small blood vessels of your feet, the skin can begin to change color. Let's break this down. When arterial blood flow is reduced, less oxygen reaches the tissues. Without sufficient oxygen, blood appears darker as it circulates through veins. If that darker, oxygen-depleted blood lingers in the lower extremities due to gravity and weak return flow, the skin may take on a bluish or dusky tone. This is sometimes referred to as peripheral cyanosis. In early stages, the color change may be mild. You might only notice it in certain lighting, or after sitting still for a while, or when your legs are hanging down rather than elevated. But as circulation becomes less efficient, the discoloration may become more noticeable. Another pattern to watch for is contrast. If one foot appears significantly paler or darker than the other, this may indicate uneven blood flow. Even subtle differences can be meaningful. There is also something called pallor on elevation. If you raise your leg while lying down, and the foot becomes unusually pale, this may reflect limited arterial supply. Then, when you lower the leg again, the foot may appear reddish or purplish as blood rushes back in. These changes reflect altered vascular dynamics. Many people dismiss color changes. They assume it's just cold. It's poor circulation. It happens sometimes. But color is one of the body's most visible circulation indicators. It tells a story about oxygen delivery. Persistent paleness can suggest reduced arterial blood flow. Bluish tones can suggest sluggish venous return. Reddish-brown discoloration over time may reflect chronic venous pressure. Your skin is not randomly changing shade. It is reflecting what is happening inside your blood vessels. Another important detail is timing. If the discoloration resolves quickly when you elevate your legs or begin walking, circulation may still be adjusting. But if color changes persist even after movement or warming, that may indicate more consistent restriction. Poor circulation does not always cause pain in early stages. Sometimes the only sign is visual. Your feet may not hurt, they may not cramp, they may not feel dramatically different, but the color may quietly shift. And that shift can be one of the earliest outward signals that oxygen-rich blood is not reaching your extremities efficiently. Over time, chronic oxygen reduction affects tissue health. It can increase vulnerability to infection, slow healing, and in more advanced cases, lead to skin breakdown. Again, this does not mean every color change is dangerous. Temperature, lighting, and natural skin tone variations all play a role. But persistent or progressive discoloration, especially when combined with cold feet, numbness, swelling, or cramping, should not be ignored. Your legs are not just supporting your body. They are displaying the quality of your circulation. And sometimes, the first clue that blood flow is changing is not pain. It is color. Symptom 7. Hair loss on your legs or toes. 500+ words. Now let's talk about something many people overlook completely. Take a careful look at your lower legs and toes. Have you noticed less hair than you used to have? Does the skin appear smoother, almost unusually smooth? Are your toes nearly hairless compared to years ago? Most people assume this is simply part of aging. And yes, hair can thin over time. But when hair loss on the lower legs occurs alongside other circulation symptoms, it may reflect reduced arterial blood flow. Here's why. Hair follicles are living structures. They are small, but they require consistent oxygen and nutrients delivered through tiny blood vessels. These vessels branch off from larger arteries that travel down your legs. When circulation is strong, those follicles remain active. But when blood flow decreases, even slightly, the body prioritizes more essential tissues. Hair growth is not considered essential for survival. So when oxygen delivery becomes limited, the body quietly reduces support to hair follicles first. The result? Hair growth slows. Existing hair becomes thinner. Eventually, hair may stop growing in certain areas. This type of hair loss is often symmetrical, affecting both lower legs similarly. It usually appears gradually. At first, you may not notice it, but over time, the lower legs may appear unusually smooth or shiny. Some individuals notice that the tops of their toes have little to no hair, even if they once did. This can be one of the earliest visual clues of declining arterial circulation. Now, it is important to understand the mechanism. Arteries carry oxygen-rich blood downward into your legs. If plaque buildup or arterial stiffening narrows those vessels, a process called atherosclerosis, blood flow decreases. Muscles may still receive enough oxygen at rest. Skin may still appear mostly normal. But small structures like hair follicles are more sensitive to subtle changes. They respond early. This is why doctors sometimes examine hair distribution on the legs when assessing circulation. It may seem minor, but it reflects vascular health. Many people dismiss leg hair loss because it is not painful. There is no discomfort, no swelling, no visible injury, just smoother skin. But when smoother skin appears alongside cold feet, pale or bluish toes, cramping during walking, slow healing wounds, the pattern becomes meaningful. Hair loss alone does not confirm serious disease, but in combination with other signs, it may indicate reduced arterial supply. Another subtle detail is skin texture. When circulation declines, skin may also become thinner or slightly dry due to reduced nourishment. Nails may grow more slowly. Toenails may thicken or become brittle. All of these changes can stem from reduced oxygen and nutrient delivery. Your body distributes resources based on priority. Brain and heart come first. Major organs next. Peripheral structures like hair and nails last. So when circulation weakens, the feet and lower legs often show changes before more dramatic symptoms develop. Hair loss in this area is not cosmetic. It can be circulatory. And because it develops slowly, many seniors never connect it to vascular health. But your legs are constantly revealing small clues. And sometimes, what disappears like hair is just as important as what appears. Again, this is not about panic. It is about awareness. Because early recognition of circulation changes allows for earlier intervention. And protecting circulation protects mobility. Protecting mobility protects independence. And independence is something worth paying attention to. Symptom 8. Weak or hard to feel pulses in your feet. 500 plus words. Now let's talk about something you cannot see but can sometimes feel. The pulse in your feet. Most people are familiar with checking their pulse at the wrist or neck, but there are also pulses located in your feet. One is found on the top of the foot. Another is located just behind the inner ankle. These pulses reflect arterial blood flow traveling downward from your heart. When circulation is strong, these pulses are steady and easy to detect, especially for trained medical professionals. But when arteries narrow or stiffen, the strength of that pulse can weaken. And that weakness can be one of the clearest physical signs of reduced arterial circulation. Here is why. Arteries are elastic vessels. Each heartbeat pushes blood forward in a rhythmic wave. That wave creates pressure you can feel as a pulse. But if plaque builds up inside the arteries, or if the vessel walls become stiff, the strength of that pressure wave decreases by the time it reaches the feet. The farther blood has to travel, the more noticeable the reduction becomes. Since your feet are the farthest point from your heart, weak circulation often shows up there first. Now, most people do not regularly check their foot pulses, and that is completely normal. But doctors do. During vascular examinations, healthcare providers often compare pulse strength between the right and left foot. If one side feels significantly weaker than the other, it may indicate arterial narrowing. If both feel faint, it may suggest more generalized circulation decline. You may not be able to detect this easily yourself, but there are indirect signs. For example, feet that remain cold even in warm environments, toes that appear pale or bluish, skin that looks thin or shiny, slow healing wounds. These may accompany weak foot pulses. Another subtle sign is delayed capillary refill. If you press gently on a toenail until it turns pale and then release, healthy circulation restores normal color within a couple of seconds. If color takes longer to return, this may indicate reduced blood flow. This is not a diagnostic test on its own, but it reflects vascular responsiveness. Why do weak pulses matter? Because they indicate reduced arterial supply. Arteries are responsible for delivering oxygen-rich blood. If that delivery becomes insufficient, tissues may survive at rest but struggle during activity. This can lead to cramping while walking, fatigue in the legs, coldness, numbness, and over time, if circulation declines further, more serious complications can develop. The important thing to understand is this: circulation problems often progress gradually. You may not wake up one day feeling dramatically different. Instead, subtle changes accumulate. Pulse strength slowly decreases. Skin tone shifts slightly. Healing takes longer. Mobility becomes a bit more difficult. Your vascular system is like a network of highways. When traffic flows smoothly, everything functions efficiently. But when lanes narrow and pressure drops, distant areas receive less supply. Your feet are those distant areas, and the pulse in your foot is a reflection of how strong that supply truly is. Again, this is not about creating fear. It is about recognizing patterns. Weak or diminished pulses in the feet are not something most people notice, but they are something doctors take seriously, because they signal reduced arterial flow, and arterial flow is the foundation of tissue health. If you are experiencing multiple signs we've discussed, cold feet, numbness, slow healing, cramping, it may be wise to have circulation evaluated, because sometimes the strongest warning is not pain. It is the quiet absence of a strong pulse where one should be. Symptom 9. Nighttime leg pain or discomfort that improves when you dangle your legs. 500 plus words. Now let's talk about something that often surprises people. Pain that appears at night when you are resting. You lie down in bed. Your body is still. You are not walking. You are not straining your muscles. And yet, your legs begin to ache. It may feel like a deep burning sensation or a steady throbbing. Sometimes it feels like a pressure building in your calves or feet. You shift positions. You rub your legs. And then something interesting happens. When you sit up and let your legs hang over the side of the bed, the discomfort slowly eases. This pattern can be an important sign of reduced arterial circulation. Let's understand why. When you are standing or sitting upright during the day, gravity helps pull blood down into your legs. If circulation is mildly reduced, gravity can actually assist blood flow to the feet. But when you lie flat, that gravitational assistance disappears. Now, blood must rely entirely on the strength of arterial pressure to reach the lowest parts of your body. If arteries are narrowed or stiff, they may struggle to push sufficient oxygen-rich blood to your feet while you are lying down. The result? Tissues become relatively oxygen-deprived during rest, and oxygen deprivation triggers pain signals. This is sometimes referred to as rest pain in vascular medicine. It typically occurs at night because circulation naturally slows during sleep. Blood pressure may drop slightly. Heart rate decreases, demande de change. And if arterial supply is already limited, these normal nighttime changes can make symptoms more noticeable. Here is the key detail. When you sit up and allow your legs to hang downward, gravity once again helps blood flow toward your feet. Within minutes, the pain may ease. This gravity-assisted relief is a classic circulation clue. Many people misinterpret this symptom. They assume it's just leg cramps. It must be restless legs. Maybe I moved the wrong way. And sometimes muscle cramps can happen at night. But muscle cramps are usually sudden and sharp. Circulation-related rest pain tends to feel deeper, more persistent, and relieved specifically by lowering the legs. Another pattern to watch for is frequency. If nighttime leg pain becomes more common over weeks or months, it may reflect progressive narrowing of the arteries. You may begin sleeping with pillows to elevate your upper body slightly, without consciously realizing why. You may find yourself waking up more often due to leg discomfort, and poor sleep creates its own cascade of health challenges. Now, it is important to be clear. Not every case of nighttime leg discomfort means severe circulation disease. There are many possible causes, including nerve irritation or electrolyte imbalance. But when night pain improves specifically by letting the legs hang downward, circulation becomes a strong consideration. Your tissues require constant oxygen. When blood flow falls below what the tissues need, even briefly, the body sends a signal. Pain is that signal. It is not random. It is protective. And when it appears at rest, it often indicates that circulation is struggling even without physical activity. Earlier, we discussed pain that occurs during walking. That is circulation failing under stress. Rest pain, however, suggests circulation may be insufficient, even at baseline. That is why this symptom should not be ignored. Again, the goal is not alarm. It is awareness. If your legs ache at night and feel better when lowered, your vascular system may be asking for attention. And the earlier circulation problems are identified, the more effectively they can be managed. Because your legs are not just reacting randomly. They are responding to oxygen levels. And oxygen delivery is the quiet foundation of tissue survival. Symptom 10. Swelling in the lower legs or ankles that improves when elevated, 500+ words. Now let's talk about something many seniors notice but often dismiss. Swelling in the lower legs or ankles. You may see it at the end of the day. Your socks leave deeper marks than they used to. Your shoes feel tighter by evening. The skin around your ankles looks slightly puffy. By morning, after lying down overnight, the swelling may improve. At first glance, this may not seem alarming. After all, standing for long periods can cause mild swelling. But when swelling becomes frequent, symmetrical in both legs, and follows a predictable daily pattern, it may reflect changes in circulation, particularly venous circulation. Let's understand what is happening. Your veins are responsible for returning blood upward from your legs back to your heart. To accomplish this, they rely on 1. Wave valves inside the veins. Muscle contractions while walking. Normal pressure gradients. When these systems work well, blood flows smoothly upward against gravity. But after 60, vein valves can weaken. When those valves weaken, blood may begin to pool in the lower legs. Pooling increases venous pressure. and increased pressure forces fluid out of the blood vessels into surrounding tissue. That fluid accumulation is what you see as swelling. Here's the key pattern to notice. When you elevate your legs above heart level, swelling improves. Why? Because elevation reduces the effect of gravity. It allows pooled blood and fluid to move more easily back toward the heart. This improvement with elevation strongly suggests that the issue involves venous return rather than injury or inflammation. Many people ignore this symptom. They assume it's just normal aging. I stood too long. I had salty food. And yes, sodium can contribute to fluid retention. But consistent, recurring swelling may indicate that blood is not returning efficiently from the legs. Over time, chronic venous pressure can cause additional changes. The skin may become tight or shiny. Discoloration may appear near the ankles. Varicose veins may become more prominent. Another important detail is heaviness. Swollen legs often feel heavy or fatigued even if muscle strength has not changed. This heaviness is not purely muscular. It reflects fluid weight and reduced efficiency in blood flow. In early stages, swelling may only appear at the end of long days. But as circulation weakens further, it may begin appearing earlier even by midday. If swelling becomes persistent and does not fully resolve overnight, that may indicate progression. Now, swelling alone does not automatically mean serious disease. But when it appears alongside other signs of poor circulation such as cold feet, color changes, cramping during walking, or slow healing wounds, the pattern becomes more meaningful. Your vascular system is designed to maintain balance. When venous return weakens, that balance shifts. Fluid collects where gravity pulls it in your lower legs. Think of it like a plumbing system. If water cannot drain efficiently upward, it pools at the lowest point. Your ankles are that lowest point. Again, this is not about creating fear. It is about recognizing early signs. Because long-term venous pressure can eventually damage skin and underlying tissue. Early attention can prevent complications. Your legs are constantly working against gravity. When swelling improves with elevation, it is a clear signal that gravity and circulation are interacting in a way that deserves attention. Your body is not randomly retaining fluid. It is responding to pressure changes inside your veins. And those pressure changes may be one of the quieter signs that circulation is beginning to shift. Symptom 11. Varicose veins that become more prominent or worsen over time. 500+ words. Now let's focus on something visible, something many people consider cosmetic. Varicose veins. These enlarged, twisted veins often appear just beneath the surface of the skin, usually on the calves or behind the knees. For many seniors, mild varicose veins have been present for years. But when they begin to worsen, darken, bulge more noticeably, or become uncomfortable, it may reflect deeper circulation changes. To understand why, we need to talk about vein valves. Veins contain tiny one-way valves designed to keep blood moving upward toward the heart. Each time you walk, your leg muscles contract. That contraction squeezes the veins and pushes blood upward. The valves then close to prevent blood from falling backward due to gravity. But after 60, these valves may weaken. When they weaken, blood begins to pool in the lower legs. Pooling increases pressure inside the veins. And when pressure increases, veins stretch. Over time, stretched veins become twisted and enlarged. This is how varicose veins form. Now here's where circulation becomes important. When venous pressure remains elevated for long periods, it does more than change appearance. It alters blood flow efficiency. Blood moves more slowly. Oxygen delivery becomes less consistent. Fluid leakage into surrounding tissue increases. You may notice veins that look more raised than before, a darker blue or purple color, aching or heaviness at the end of the day, mild throbbing in the calves. Many people dismiss worsening veins because they are common. They assume everyone gets them. It's just aging. They don't hurt much. And while mild varicose veins are indeed common, rapid changes are different. If veins become noticeably more prominent over a short period of time, it may suggest increasing venous pressure. This pressure is not isolated to one vein. It reflects the overall efficiency of blood returning from your legs to your heart. Another important detail is symmetry. If both legs develop more visible veins simultaneously, it may reflect systemic circulation changes. If only one leg changes dramatically, that may warrant closer evaluation. Over time, chronic venous pressure can affect skin health. You may begin to see shiny skin, brownish discoloration near the ankles, persistent swelling, itching, or dryness. These changes reflect long-term strain on the small blood vessels beneath the surface. Your veins are not separate from your overall circulation. They are part of the same vascular network that keeps oxygen flowing. When venous return weakens, blood lingers in the lower legs longer than it should. That stagnation increases pressure and stretches vessels. And stretched vessels become visible. It is important to note that varicose veins alone do not mean severe disease. But when they worsen, in combination with swelling, heaviness, skin changes, or nighttime discomfort, they may be signaling broader venous insufficiency. Your body is designed for continuous circulation. When flow slows, pressure builds. When pressure builds, veins expand. And expanded veins become visible reminders that blood is not moving as efficiently as it once did. Again, this is not about alarm. It is about awareness, because small visual changes can reflect internal shifts in vascular health, and recognizing those shifts early can help preserve comfort, mobility, and long-term independence. Your legs are not just showing veins. They are showing how well blood is returning home. Symptom 12. Legs that feel unusually heavy, tired, or weak after short periods of walking, 500+ words. Now let's talk about something many seniors quietly accept as just aging: a feeling of heaviness in the legs. You walk a short distance, perhaps across a parking lot or through your home, and your legs feel unusually tired. Not sharp pain, not sudden cramping, just a deep, dragging heaviness, almost as if your legs are carrying extra weight. You may find yourself sitting down more often, avoiding stairs, choosing shorter routes without consciously deciding to. Over time, this subtle fatigue can change daily habits. But here is something important to understand. When circulation declines, muscles are often among the first tissues to feel it. Your leg muscles are large and active. They require a steady supply of oxygen-rich blood to function efficiently. Even during light activity, muscle cells depend on oxygen to produce energy. When arterial flow becomes restricted, even mildly, oxygen delivery decreases. At rest, the muscles may cope, but during movement, when demand increases, the supply may not be sufficient. This imbalance creates early fatigue. Muscles begin to tire faster. Waste products accumulate more quickly. The sensation is not sharp pain, it is heaviness. Internally, this is a supply and demand issue. Your muscles are asking for more oxygen. Your arteries may not be delivering it as effectively as before. Another contributing factor is venous return. If blood does not flow back upward efficiently, pressure can build in the lower legs. That pressure creates a sensation of fullness or weight. The legs may feel thick, dense, or slow to move. Many people blame inactivity. They assume, I'm just out of shape. I need more exercise. It's normal after 60. And while muscle conditioning does decline with age, circulation-related heaviness often feels different. It feels disproportionate to the activity. You may notice that tasks you handled comfortably a year ago now feel surprisingly draining. Another subtle clue is recovery time. After resting for a few minutes, the heaviness may improve. But when you resume activity, it returns quickly. This pattern mirrors other circulation-related symptoms. Over time, if reduced blood flow continues, endurance gradually decreases. Walking distances shorten. Stairs feel more challenging. The body adapts by reducing movement, sometimes without conscious awareness. And reduced movement creates another problem. Muscle contractions are essential for pushing blood upward through veins. When activity decreases, venous return weakens further. This creates a cycle. Reduced circulation, leg fatigue, less activity, further circulation decline. Breaking that cycle early is important, because mobility is not just about strength. It is about blood flow. Healthy circulation fuels movement. Movement, in turn, supports circulation. When heaviness becomes persistent, especially alongside other signs we've discussed. Cold feet, color changes, slow healing, cramping, swelling. It may reflect broader vascular inefficiency. Your legs are not simply getting older. They are responding to oxygen levels, and oxygen delivery is foundational to muscle performance. Again, this does not mean panic, but persistent heaviness is not random. It is a signal. Your vascular system is responsible for supplying every step you take. When that supply weakens, your legs feel it first, and listening to that feeling early may help protect your strength, balance, and independence for years to come.